nomenclature is the biggest concept you all have to worry about throughout your organic. They're gonna ask you nomenclature questions every single exam. For you, I have done a document. I've made a document that you can print out. You'll find along with this video. And the first half of the portion is telling you about the rules for nomenclature. So that's what you should always follow whenever you name anything. In order to do this right, you have to be able to recognize the function groups and their suffix for each of them. So that's in chapter 2. Make sure you look up in the book or notes, wherever you find it for, wherever you like to find it for. Okay, so but below that there is a space for common name substituents. Those are the 4 common names that you will always have to draw. So let's start with that. Isopropyl. Iso means dividing in half, where both sides look exactly the same. It's propyl, so you definitely have only 3 carbons. This is where your other chain starts. So these are the 3 carbons that you have. If you divide it in half, you'll see both of the sides look exactly the same. This is isopropyl. Then you have sec-butyl. This is sec-butyl, it's butyl, so you have 4 different carbons. Then you have isobutyl, where you have 4 carbon, that's iso. So it's very similar to isopropyl, so you have to be very, very careful when you draw it, because this only has the middle carbons directly attached to the chain, where you have the middle carbon has additional carbon and then it's attached to R. That will make this 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's what we want for butyl. Okay, and then you have tert-butyl, which is going to be 4 carbons attached, 4 different substituents off of 1 carbon, where you have 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then you have the carbon chain starting. So it's butyl, it's tert, so it looks like a tree. That may help you to memorize the structure. So these are the 4 structures that you definitely have to memorize to name anything. Whenever you see these substituents, you have to call them sec, tert, or prop, or anything. Right? So you have to be careful about that. And make sure you also know the IUPAC name for all of them. So what would this be called? You would start with the longest carbon chain and give the substituent an IUPAC name. Make sure you know how to do that as well. You'll see a detailed explanation. Try to name them. You'll see a detailed explanation in table 2.2 or 2.3 from your book. So that will give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's do an example so we can have you practice some of this. Alright, so the way they ask you the name, Dr. J will ask you 2 different ways. He will either give you the picture on its own and you name it. That's a straightforward naming problem, where you have a picture, you name it. Or he'll tell you the name and you have to draw the picture, which is pretty common because whenever you do a reaction, he can easily give you an IUPAC name, and pretty much you have to come up with the picture to actually see what's happening. So those are the 2 reciprocal questions that he could ask. The third one is where people get confused, where he gives you a wrong name, you draw the picture from the wrong name, and then come up with the correct name. So I'm going to do an example of the third one because that's the most important one and that comes up more often than the other 2. Okay, so the wrong name that I have is 3-methyl for propyl, always separate letter and number with a dash. Two letters, separate them, two numbers, separate them with comma. 6-sec-butyl nonane. Alright, every time you have a name, this name looks very big, but it'll be easier when you break it down. So this is your name, right? You start from the back because back is telling you what the backbone is for the structure. So what kind of functional group you're going to be working with. It's A and E, which is alkane suffix. So you have no functional group, it's just plain old hydrocarbon. Okay, so it's nonane. So none is for 9 carbons. So let's draw the longest carbon chain, which is 9. 9. Alright, so this is 9 carbons. Alright, now you have 3. On carbon number 3, you have a methyl group. You have a propyl group on carbon number 4. So that's that. So that's 5. 6. On 6, you have sec-butyl. Alright, so these are the substituents that you have. Now, this is a wrong name. Why is it a wrong name? You'll realize. Let's try to get the longest carbon chain here. Okay, so you had to go every single side to check the longest carbon chain. Sometimes your substituents end up being the longest carbon chain as well. So let's start from just anywhere. Let's start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This was your original numbering. If you leave it the same way, it would give you this name. But it's wrong name, so let's not go this way. Let's try to find the other way. Alright, I'm going to leave the original one so you'll see the difference. Okay, how about we start from here. 1, 2, 3. That would still give me 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's not a right option. 7, 8, 9. That would still give me the same one. How about we start okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so this will still give me 9, but the red way is better because you get more substituent on 1. So if you follow the red way, you'll notice now we have 1, still have this 2, 3, and 4 substituent. Here we had 1, 2, and 3 substituent. So this one is better. The red way is better than the green way, the original way. That's why that name was wrong. Okay. Alright, let's try to do this now. Okay, we have nine, so it's still gonna be nonane. That will still be your backbone. Then we have 2 propyl substituents on carbon 3 and 4. 4 and 6. And we have a methyl on 7. Okay. Alright, let's do this. 3, 7 dimethyl, 4, 6 dipropyl nonane. Okay, that will satisfy our requirements. So this one is, again, the only difference here was your longest carbon chain is exactly the same, but the number of substituents are better in the second way than was in the first way. That's why we picked this as our best name. So what did we do? We had a wrong name, we drew a picture, and we came up with the right name. That's what you're always going to do if you get a question like this on the exam.
The Teaching Center, UF's Learning Resource Center.